Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey or reading all those books that sit on your bookshelf unread. So today we've got another Black Library review for you, and this time we're looking at a personal favourite of mine, Heart of Winter by Nick Horth. I mean, if you can't tell why it's a personal favourite of mine, look at that Scourge Privateer on the front. She is amazing. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Scourge Privateers, and it's thanks to a particular character in this book why I have an army of them. So let's talk a little bit about the book. So the book here is featuring a particular character known as Arakazenth, who is a fleet muster of the Scourge Privateers. She also features in a couple of different novels known as City of Secrets and Calcin Toll, the Silver Shard, which is really cool. She is sort of a bit part player in those two novels, so plays a much bigger part in the second novel in that series, The Silver Shard with Calcin Toll. But she helps carry them around, and this is her own, I guess, spin-off story. This is talking more about her and giving us more information about her as a character. This focuses around her trying to stop her father, who is quite a sadistic old dark elf man, from destroying a city that she sort of needs something from. She is not a good character in any way. She's not good, but she's definitely not evil, and she rather doesn't like the evil deeds her father is doing. And she's got... It's this weird thing where she's a pirate, but she understands that Sigmar gives her something, and good people give her something to do, and without sort of the cities, she loses a bit of her way and her influence, though her father is very much old school and wants to see the Druichi rise up to their former power. So definitely favourite character in the book. I mean, you can't go past Arakazenth. She is without a doubt my favourite character in the book. This character here spawned an entire army that I took to CanCon a couple of years ago. I have an entire Scourge Privateer army painted up in the colours that she's wearing here. So she's without a doubt my favourite character in the book. She's a really cool character though. There's a lot about her. She's quite fierce. She's unafraid of most things, and she's also rather smart, which all are really great things for a female-fronted fantasy novel. She's just such a cool, calm, and amazing character at the front of the novel. And it's really cool to see. I guess I wish there was a model for her, because I've had to convert up one of my own to get my own Arakazenth model. But I really wish there was a model for her to be represented on the table. But all those things, she just... Every scene with her, she's very witty, and it just gives so much depth to her character when she has all these scenes with different people. She's talking different ways. She knows all these connections because she is sort of like, I guess, one of the most influential pirates in all of Excelsis. And so people know her name, the breadth of the mortal realms, and in particular the realm of beasts. Did the characters feel real? Well, yes. Like Araka does feel very real, and so do the people around her. They're all very dark elf. They're all out for their own, looking after themselves, and there are backstabbings galore within the book. And you can never sort of tell who's on whose side, which is awesome. But she is generally quite loyal to her own people, which is, I guess, a flaw when it comes to a dark elf, because she'll always be suspecting to get stabbed in the back when you're a dark elf. But she is quite loyal to her own, and you feel connected to her because she has this loyalty to her crew. As a captain, she trusts all of them. Whether they all trust her is a different story, but she trusts everyone in her crew. It's quite cool. The story does keep you guessing, I mean, because you're never quite sure whether she's going to succeed, and with these spin-off stories, she ended Calcin Toll by going her own way with Calcin Toll, as the whole sort of book does, but at the end of it, you're not quite sure, like, is this going to be the end for her? Because she is put in quite a precarious situation within the story, and you're not really sure whether or not she's going to actually survive, or if this is going to be the story that ends her. And I think that's a really great way to have this story put. The favourite part of the book, definitely, I think they meet this character within the book who ends up being a Thieves Guild leader. And it's just a really cool character within the book when you start seeing, oh, this character that you thought was sort of a nobody all of a sudden has this quite a large bit of power within this organization of thieves, and he's just a really fun character, watching all these scenes where he knows this a little bit more than he lets on. He's quite a nice character, and all the scenes involving him are really cool. Definitely stronger scenes. You get some scenes with Erica, especially talking to her father within the book, that really give this sense of like the hatred that is there between the two of them, and like the disdain and the disgust at each other, that they're not doing what the other one wants them to do, that they sort of have gone very different paths, both still very successful scourge privateers, but very different paths that they've travelled, and they really don't get along to quite a bad extent. The book does grip you. I think it moves pretty well. There are some parts in it that are maybe a little bit slow on the tooth, and don't travel quite as fast as the rest, but I definitely think probably the last third of the book is probably where it starts really getting interesting and really picks up the pace and gives you a lot more to sort of bite into, and that last part was really easy to get through. Once I hit through probably the first half of the book, you started getting into that third part, the conclusion. You really started to just continuously want to read the next page, and you couldn't put it down at that point. The start of it is potentially a little bit slow. I mean, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this book because I love this character so much, and I love my Scourge Privateers so much, that I found it really easy to read. But I could imagine that a lot of people would find this particular book potentially a little bit slow to start with, but it does get into it and does really pick up right at the end and gives you a lot of nice sort of unexpected turns and bits and pieces that all sort of work together. And I guess that's probably my main dislike of the book, is the first half. It doesn't really give you a lot, but eventually it does get really moving, and you really start to see this whole story come together. Definitely though, this book is for anyone that's a fan of a Dark Elf. I think this is the first major Dark Elf heavy book where the Dark Elves are the main characters. If you like the old Druchii back in Warhammer Fantasy, you should definitely pick this up, and especially if you've read Calcin Toll or City of Secrets, this is a book you should pick up to follow along that character you've read about in the sides of the stories, which is really cool. For me though, I think this book, out of 8 Realm Stones, I think it deserves probably a solid 5 out of 8 Realm Stones. I'm probably being maybe a little bit biased. Maybe it is a 4 out of 8 Realm Stone novella, I guess. But for me, 5 out of 8, just because I love the characters that much. I think it's a little bit biased of a rating. But yeah, maybe it's a little bit lower, maybe not. But definitely a solid book that you should pick up, especially if you like Druchii and you enjoy the characters within Calcin Toll and City of Secrets. If you liked her in them, you're going to like this, because you're going to enjoy knowing that little bit more about her as a character and her backstory, which isn't fully explored within, obviously, those 2 books that she previously features in. So we hope you enjoyed the video. If there's any Black Library books you'd like us to review in the future, please do let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget also to like the video and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the Black Library reviews that we do in the future. A special thank you to all the people who support the channel on Patreon. You're all fantastic people. Thank you so much to our Sinful Guard Militia, Christian Weir, Philip Ward, Chaos Spawn and Soren, and our Sinful Free Guild Regiment members James and AJC. Thank you so much for your additional support for the channel. If you'd also like to help more and support the channel on Patreon, you can do so by following the link down in the description of the video down below. Lastly, in the description as well, you'll find a link to our Discord server where you can come in and make your requests even more heard about what you'd like to see us review from Black Library over there. But also, you can come chat with me and other members of our fantastic community there. But that's it for today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, stay safe, stay well. Most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. And also, read those books on your goddamn shelf.